Aloha, everyone. The market on Friday basically consolidated in a nice, tight inside trading range compared to the previous candle ahead of the China and U.S. trade talks in Switzerland. The recent consolidation has been great. One thing I don't love is the lower volume on the rise higher. However, there's some pocket pivot point signals in the mix, which shows that there's no selling. And something that hasn't happened since the lows is distribution, zero distribution. So I love that. But at the same time, a lot of uncertainty this weekend. And we're still right at key resistance levels. This recent high, which kind of coincides with this recent low back here in January, and the 200 SMA. Also, if you add an anchored VWAP to the from the highs, I don't believe that that's where it's at, but that too is a resistance level for, I believe, a lot of the FANG names if you look at the FANG index. So there's a culmination of resistance levels, but if the market breaks through there, we're looking good. And I got to be honest, after this previous week, what I noticed is bases are forming everywhere. A lot of low handles, but tons of double bottom bases, tons of cut patterns, and earnings reports have just been incredible. And there's just so many stocks that are just like blowing, like ODD. After it breaks out, if you don't buy the get the Bible gap up, there's been no entry on there. There was Pod today. Dave is a recent one. Nice breakout. It's just a lot of excellent action overall with earnings winners, and it just continues on a lot of stocks. And like I said, guys, I'm sticking my neck out there. I've told you guys, even when the market was selling off in the long term portfolio, made a big purchase this day, made an even bigger purchase this day, all in right here. All members knew about it, told all members of Big Way Trading. Anybody could have done exactly what I did. I bought the same amount of ETFs and stocks here, did the same here, and then I loaded up on, I think it was 4 or 5 ETFs right here for the all-in signal. Straight VRAP, higher bounce since. But even during the entire downtrend, I said over and over, I still think that we hit new all-time highs by the end of the year or early next year, and I'm sticking by that thesis, hypothesis, whatever you want to call it, based on evidence, facts, data, and price performance. Like I said, just earnings winners constantly, way more winners than losers, and this was the earnings season that was supposed to have gaps were supposed to reverse, and they're just not. Everything is strong, and I can't fight that. So a lot of other stocks that are still doing good, all those gold stocks, because gold's been so high for so long, they're looking really good in the gold miners. I mean, all of them. They're just all those profits, those sales growth, the profit margins, what have you. Everything is looking good. Then you have other stocks like TTAN that look good. AHR, which by the way, new swing signal was back here. Love the setup, love the signal. Got a great, I would say, grade A signal here. Unfortunately, this shook me out of a lot of it, continued higher, and then I was completely shaken out of all of it, I think, early January. But since that initial long signal, nice 136% gain, still has not produced an end of day 100% sell signal. So things are looking good. I can see consolidations like an OKLO forming. Um, just a lot of strong stocks. UTI from our weekly squeeze scan, buyable gap up there. RDVT, this one kind of sucked, as you all know. Was interested in it here, but didn't like the setup. This though, I love this move. That volume bop surge with the pocket pivot point signal. Unfortunately, earnings were coming up, but I let everybody know. Buyable gap up, boom, broke right above that resistance line. And why you see a resistance line on that one and this one is because these are both in my weekly squeeze scan. So we'll take a look at those. Now, I have only had 2 swing signals this month. So long-term portfolio is good, quarterly portfolio, at least it's doing worse than the overall market, but it's doing better than the IBD 50 ETF and doing better than the ARC ETF. So those are my real benchmarks. We 4x the SPY return the quarter before. So I'm happy overall with that. We're going to reconstitute that portfolio on the 19th. So 10 stocks, 10% of capital in each, hold them for 90 days. I have a feeling this quarter is going to be good, especially if we get that trade deal. So I'm kind of excited about that. But on the swing side, I've only had 2 new long signals the entire previous month. MRX was one of them. So far, so good. Earnings are on the 15th. 22% gain while the SPY is up 7%. And then the other one was ATGE. And ATGE, we'll just crudely just put it from right here and we'll round down, is up 26% compared to the S&P 500 during the same time. I believe being up only 2%, right? Yep, we'll round up for this one. 2%, while ATGE is up 26%. So we're doing well there too. But I will admit, I wish there were more new swing signals. We're not getting a whole lot. I kind of feel like I'm being left behind on a lot of them on the swing position side, but I know it's early. The SPY isn't even back above its 200 SMA. Do you guys remember all those swing signals that we were getting back when the SPY was trending up above the 200 SMA? If you don't remember, all of these still have not triggered 100% end-of-day sell signals. The white arrows is where they were new long positions on an end-of-day side, and you can see there's no shortage of them. A bull is also a stock that I'm long. It hasn't produced any solid gains yet, but also hasn't produced any losses yet. My final stop is right here. So this is a third one. However, I wouldn't call this quality because of its high ATR and high beta, so it wasn't announced as a quality long position, just MRX and just ATGE. But as you can see, whenever the market's uptrending, no shortage of new long signals. You can see the white arrows. There's Spotify. Look at where this one is, all the way down here. So that will happen again. That was AHR. Once we start trending and looking good, until then, long-term quarterly got us in. Right now, main time frame of focus is intraday. So I'm pretty sure we'll be getting more swing signals once this market starts getting above and trending above the 200 SMA, which I would prefer, honestly, a pullback to around 450 and then chop around, consolidate, and then start that uptrend higher. That would form some great base on base patterns, better looking cup with handle patterns, what have you. So we'll go ahead and round out this. Actually, I got to review. I do have one new long position. Let me get to that before we go over the weekly squeeze scan. So PEN, Penumbra, high quality stock. You can tell by it being $300 a share almost. This is an actionable long signal today. I love the increasing balance of power. I love that it's just been nothing but green since this big update here. Attempted breakout today, but it sat back. I still want to go ahead, and even though it has that big reversal, I want to go ahead and try a long position above the high of the day. Initially, you can have a stop at the 21 EMA, do 50% there, and have 100% of your stops at the 50 SMA. I'm going to calculate my size from this entry point to the 50 SMA. I'm just going to risk 1R initially. However, if I can get any kind of inside hammer candle set up before it breaks out, I'll be moving my buy stop to above that high of the day. And for instance, I have another speculative long position out there, ADPT. This was a new long signal in this inside hammer candle. It would have triggered, but I got lucky at 9:37 in the morning for about 10 seconds. It traded above 10.19, never filled my order. After this bar right here, I moved that buy stop that I then moved since 10.19 was the buy stop, didn't trigger. The next day I moved the buy stop to 10.21. It is now 9.52, hasn't triggered yet. Almost did today, but it didn't. So 9.52 I'll be long. And this will be 50% stop, 21 EMA, this low, 100% stop, this low. But actually for me, 100% here, but if you want to give it room to work, the 50 SMA makes sense. But I'm going to be a little tight with the stop on this one because it is a bit more speculative, even though they had very large earnings and sales growth and they beat on the top and bottom line by a large amount. So a lot of good looking stocks out there, like even QBTS, watching this one, would love to get an entry at the 21 EMA. So there are a lot of stocks setting up. And speaking of that, in the weekly squeeze scan, I'm going to go ahead and do it on CRS. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the buy stop on CRS. I think earnings are out of the way. So as long as earnings are out of the way, I'm definitely doing a buy stop on CRS above this recent high. So this one is actionable for my weekly squeeze scan. We're using Telechart version 7 for these charts. Usually Telechart version 25 is where these stocks come from, but it's on also a rolling basis from the previous week. I'll take off stocks from the squeeze scan if they lose their nice setup. But MSTR, would love to see a handle form here. MSTR is high on the list, actionable. ATGE, if you didn't get it before earnings, really nothing you could do. Very risky, but you can see that since breaking out above this high, it is working. UTI, viable gap up above the recent highs from the squeeze scan. TATT is one of those sloppy stocks, nothing to do here. CRK, I was hoping to get my handle, never got it. It just continues to go. AGX, we're starting to get there, but I would love to see a handle form. But a viable gap up above this high is always actionable too. But it's on handle watch now for me. BBAR, earnings are coming up, and it doesn't have the sales and earnings growth that I look for. But if this market continues to act strong, doing a buy stop above this handle isn't out of the equation. I just wouldn't set it up yet. So far on this list, we just have CRS, so it's actionable. Roblox is getting there. I'm really into this stock. Huge earnings and sales growth. I understand the company. A buy stop above this high would work. I would just like to see the handle be a bit longer, but I have a feeling it's possible this one might leave me behind unless I can get a pocket pivot point signal off the 21 EMA. APEI continues to trend higher. RDVT we've already reviewed, but once again, there's that line. VIRT, it's just wedging higher on a handle watch. CHWY, Chewy, another name I'm very familiar with. Very strong fundamental company. It's on handle watch, but it could be actionable. But this cut base is just a little too big, so I got to look for a 21 EMA bounce. IRS, I moved the price requirement from 20 down to 15 for this scan because it missed Kins initially. SMMT, little wonky. Dash hasn't died yet, but not looking too good. We'll see. I guarantee it's going to set back up and break out to new all-time highs. No doubt about it. So we're just watching for it to consolidate a bit better. QFIN too early. KINS, this was the initial breakout that I missed that made the weekly squeeze scan. It's still in the weekly squeeze scan. That big reversal is what kind of scared me away from buying breakouts. But after earnings, re-breaking out, looking good. To me, it's actionable on a 21 EMA pullback, but we already have it as a swing position from back here. You can go review that list that we went through. And LMB looking for a pullback entry. But we're going to go and wrap it up there. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. We'll see how the China trade talks go, and we'll do it all again next week.